Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to episode 41 of useless League of Legends information and Happy New Year's. Anyways, without further ado, let's just jump straight into things. Starting off, did you know that Mbessa's dashes and kit was actually based around this gif of a raccoon rolling around? Originally, it was just thrown in as a joke, but Riot ultimately decided to try it and create the less comical version of it in her actual kit.
How do we deliver the non-funny version that is all about moving in a very specific, visceral way that is to dodge things, but also to reposition themselves into the optimal spot?
Did you know that in Yone's original kit, whenever someone dashed or flashed, Yone would also get a free dash or free flash that he could use to follow you, kind of like Zoe. However, the main difference was that he couldn't actually flash or dash until you did, making it so you'd almost never want to dash or flash away from him. It's kind of interesting, but also sounds like it would have been a nightmare to deal with. Did you know that Aurora was originally supposed to be released years ago, specifically back in 2019, because she actually ended up just turning into Silas? However, years down the road, the artists and designers still liked her so much that they still eventually decided to release her anyways. Did you know that Nefiri is canonically actually 7 feet tall, or 2.134 meters, and that's her standing on all fours? In other words, that's about 8.25 corgis stacked on top of each other. During Squid Game Season 2, you can actually see the T1 logo for a split second during one of the scenes. And if you want to know specifically when, it is episode 2 at 37 minutes and 35 seconds. And if you want to know even more specifically where that scene was, it was actually at the T1 base camp. To confirm this, you can actually see the blur from the Nintendo Switch sign as well as the blue and green PS5 and Xbox signs too. At this point, T1 is basically just everywhere. Did you know that in the top lane, there's a wall that is notorious for creep blocking people to death? For some reason or another, this particular spot has a really bad habit of screwing people over and trapping them, like in this clip here where Vex just can't leave. Or even worse, like in this clip here where they're literally just held hostage and beaten to death. I mean, I have a bit less sympathy because it's Darius, but still. And if you think that minion block is bad, it can get even worse, like in this clip here where Set actually teleports backwards. So usually it's pretty common knowledge that the longer you practice a champion, the better you'll get at them. But did you know there's actually 2 champions in the game right now that statistically you get worse at the more you play them? The first champion is Nami, who typically has a 52% win rate, but after 50 plus games, she drops to a 51.8% win rate. And then second is Janna, who typically has a 51.6% win rate, but drops 0.8% to a 50.8% win rate after 50 plus games. It actually makes no sense, but you know what? It is League of Legends, I guess. There's also Malphite, who actually doesn't change at all no matter how many games you play on him, which kind of makes a bit more sense because he's so straightforward, but still. Also, in case you were curious, on the flip side, the champion that improves the most after 50 games is actually Karthus. During France's New Year's Eve celebration, they actually ended up playing this song from Arcane. I play more of it, but I'd probably get copyrighted, but I'll leave a link in the description in case you still wanted to see. Okay, so do you remember Danny's insanely clutch Baron play a couple of years ago? Well, what if I told you that that all actually happened because of a bug that took place? Or I guess it wasn't really a bug, it was more of a mistake by Riot. You see, initially it looks like Santorin on Team Liquid misses his smite, but what really happened was at the very last second, right before he smited it, Baron leveled up because it hit the minute mark and it gained some extra HP, which you can actually see if you slow it down. Baron's health goes all the way from 895 back to 1088, and because of that, Santorin misses his smite, which then lets Danny auto it once, letting him get his passive, and then the rest is history. Now, obviously, this was still a ridiculous play, but the issue was that Baron was never supposed to be able to gain health as long as it was in combat. This was a pretty big overlook by Riot, and in the next patch in 12.10, they even released a note saying no more unlucky. Baron now waits 30 seconds after taking damage before it can level up and gain stats, namely health. Did you know that in the old lore, Garen was actually the one to cut Urgot in half, which is why he had mechanical legs in the first place? About a month ago, there was a person who managed to get 650 CS at 31 minutes in a real game in Masters Elo. That is actually insane. Their whole strategy was based around Tryndamere with a pocket Zillion and them flying around the map as fast as they could to get as many waves in camps as possible. They basically just started mid and top and swapped back and forth so Tryndamere could catch the waves, and then the rest of the game, it was basically just a farm fest. This would honestly be pretty impressive in a custom game, but in a real game in Masters Elo is insane. Did you know that this year's Worlds was directed by Hamish Hamilton, the same person who directed the last 15 Super Bowl halftime shows? And on top of that, he also did the Grammys and the Oscars. Also, speaking of the NFL, I guess they did a random collab with Riot and Arcane, making NFL Arcane themed posters, which is kinda random, but sure, I guess why not? This person decided to do covers of Heavy is the Crown and Enemy on calculators, and it actually sounds pretty good. You may have heard this already, but a bit over a month ago, Beryl became a free agent in the pro scene, and even though he was planning on signing with DK, they ended up delaying the signing because Beryl wanted to attend a Genshin Impact promotional event. And according to the contracts, if you're signed to a team, you're not allowed to have ties with any other games, so instead he took advantage of the gap when he was a free agent and then signed after the event was over. I mean, he does love his gacha games after all. This really isn't too surprising considering he's also the one who requested his Ash World skin to be based off of a Genshin character. Gotta respect the dedication. Baby Raccoon, subscribe. Thank you. This person hooked up an actual DJ desk to play DJ Sona. The only problem is he didn't actually have the DJ Sona skin, but the idea was there. That said, 8 years ago, this person actually set up everything, including the movements, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks like it would be absolutely miserable to play, but you know what? For what it is, it really isn't too bad. This person built Vi out of Lego pixel art using around 15,000 pieces. So there was a couple who actually played Silver Scrapes as their wedding entrance song, and if that doesn't tell you how big gaming is in Korea, I really don't know what will. Have you ever wondered which champion is the most one-tricked in League? Well, according to League of Graphs, Kled is by far the most one-tricked champion with 40% of his games. In second is Singed with 36.36% of his games being one-tricked, and Fiddle in third with 34.38%. On the flip side, Malphite is the least one-tricked champion in the game at only 1.49%, which honestly makes sense. If you want to see the rest of the results, I will leave a link below. This was brought up about a month ago, but it was revealed that about 1 in every 7 T1 stream viewer was actually female. While this might sound surprising to Western viewers, it's actually pretty standard for Korean viewership since gaming is so mainstream there. Still, all that aside, it is a pretty crazy ratio. This is probably one of the better Gragas combos I've seen recently. I'm pretty sure this is what it would look like if Dory from Finding Nemo was playing League of Legends. I've seen a lot of Herald drifting clips, but these guys are pretty unmatched when it comes to skill. I think the fist bump at the end is what really brought it all together. This guy found out that his cat really likes Kindred. Apparently Baron has a lot longer range than I think a lot of people thought, because I didn't even know this was possible, but apparently it can kill you even in the far bush. Have you ever wondered what a Riot end of the year party looks like? Well, apparently it looks like this because this year they rented out the entire Universal Studios. It honestly looks pretty sick, but it's also kind of bittersweet knowing how many people they laid off. Like, I'm sure it's just slightly awkward for those who got let go seeing this on their social media page. You know, besides that, it's still pretty cool though. With Mel already released on the PvE, people are quickly figuring out that with the help of the multiplayer practice tool, you can basically play volleyball with something like a Greg Assault. Some people have even tried it with Ezreal's ult, which they were basically able to one-shot Baron with. This person created a splash art of Mel as if she was released 15 years ago, which honestly looks shockingly accurate. For reference, this is what LeBlanc and Ashe's splash art actually looked like back in the day. Speaking of Mel, people quickly discovered that her W ability that counters other abilities and sends it back to them has some really interesting interactions. For example, if you counter Briar's ultimate, Mel will actually be the one to fly across the map to Briar. There are honestly so many weird interactions like this, and Vandro even made a video covering all the abilities, so feel free to check that out. Additionally, Mel can even reflect Ashe's Hawkeye. I honestly think this is a really fun ability, but I also can't believe that Riot added this ability in because I'm sure this was a nightmare to code. Either way, I actually think she'll be a really fun champion. Also, side note, this isn't 100% confirmed, but I'm like really confident that this spell was inspired by Zelda's B button from Super Smash Bros., also known as Nehru's Love. It's basically her B button or her special move that forms a spinning blue crystal that can also reflect projectiles. So there's no way that's a coincidence, right? Not to mention that they actually look almost identical. Again, it's not 100% confirmed, but I feel like it's a pretty good theory. In case you're wondering what happened to the secondary resource bar quality of life update, it was actually supposed to be pushed out earlier, but there were some issues and the rioter in charge actually had a baby. But he mentioned he'll be back tackling it as soon as he's back. Okay, so this is pretty crazy, but did you know that almost every new feats of strength tier 3 boot, with the exception to the Berserker's Greaves, has over a 70% win rate? Hey, really quick, Riot just released some updated stats based on the first 2 days of play, and these were the results. The first blood win rate is still sitting around 57.5%. The first turret win rate has gone up slightly to 50.8%. The average feats of strength win rate is actually 74.1%. The win rate for whoever gets Otacon is 78.9%, and the Baron win rate is still around 82.6%. Long story short, based on these results, they mentioned how they don't think it's too snowbally and will continue to monitor things. That said, they are, however, changing things with first blood because it seems like it's causing mental strain, also known as everyone's panicking now as soon as someone gets first blood. Speaking of the new season, it's safe to say that it's been a bit of a roller coaster so far because there's just been a lot of weird bugs and glitches happening, like the ability to auto turrets out of turret range at the right angle, or even be able to hit the Nexus while the Nexus turrets are still up. Needless to say, it's been a bit chaotic, and I think there's a lot of mixed feelings with the new season, so I'd love to hear what you guys think about it in the comments. All right, and lastly, here's a picture of a rock. This is a sedimentary rock. Yo, please consider subscribing if you enjoy, and happy New Year's, happy 2025. First off, I want to say thank you all for supporting me another year, and a huge shout out to all my patrons who have gone far and beyond to support me even further. This year has been a bit of a roller coaster for me, not gonna lie, so honestly, it means so much that you have all supported me, and a giant shout out to Gooseman for being a 2-tier patron, and another massive shout out to Wolf for being a tier 3 patron. I have a lot of fun things planned for 2025 and I can't wait, but for now, thank you all, and I will see you next time. Peace.